This presentation is on a way to mathematically describe truth that I call the truth equation. Maybe we know less about truth than we think. Consider a padlock. What is the true combination and why? What is truth anyways? It's formally defined currently as a proposition that agrees with the facts. Truth is described in the field of philosophy. Philosophy deals primarily with language analysis, propositions, and facts. However, the lock combination isn't language. So, how can we go beyond language? What is more general than language? Information. Information can be defined as an arrangement or sequence of things that convey meaning. Language is a kind of information. So are senses, like touch, like taste, like sight and sound. Language is a kind of information. Numbers are also a kind of information, as well as every other kind of symbol. Truth might be related in some way to information. But why and how is truth related to information? So, what is the true lock combination intuitively? Intuitively, it's the information that allows you to open the padlock, right? Truth is information that makes doing something in the real world easier. A combination is truth because it makes opening the padlock easier. How to formally define easier? Does this concept of easier connect with something else in the real world? It actually does. Something that's easier is something that takes less energy. So is truth really philosophy? Does it really involve things like propositions and facts, or is truth physics? Is truth something completely different that involves information and energy? So when you're asking the question, what is the true lock combination? That's the same thing as asking, what is information that will reduce the energy I need to open the lock? They're the same question. And more generally, this is also equivalent to asking, what is information that will allow me to use my energy more effectively? Truth can be considered the property of information that is able to increase how effectively energy is used. More effective energy use is equal to less energy per task, right? If, for example, true directions are sets of information that reduce the energy needed to complete the task of navigation. So the true padlock combination in the exact same way is information that reduces the energy needed to complete the task of opening the padlock. As you can see, there's information, you input it into the padlock, and it allows you to open the padlock. Another way to think of this is, how can you tell that information has something to do with reality, something to do with the real world? Right? You have this unknown and you have an information. Energy saving, right, is what provides that relation, is what proves the relation. When you look at this in a diagram, you can think of it as energy and information as inputs to a system undergoing a process, right, that's trying to achieve a certain outcome. How the information influences the energy use determines whether or not the information is truth. Truth can actually be generalized now even more, to an even greater degree. The concept of information has a lot to do with the concept of entropy. Entropy has to do with disorder. High entropy means essentially more disorder or more uncertainty. Low entropy generally means less disorder. So low entropy, like these two stacks of balls that are highly ordered, right? They're in a very specific pattern. This arrangement has low entropy. Randomly arranged balls have a high entropy. They're very disordered, right? A clean room is very ordered. It has low entropy. A messy room has very high entropy. There are more ways for something to be disordered than for something to be ordered. Information, by definition, because it has to convey some kind of meaning, it is ordered. Therefore, information has low entropy. Truth is connected to this concept of low entropy or information that is able to save energy. As you go from less truth to more truth, what should you see? You should be seeing a change from more uncertainty to less uncertainty. You should be seeing a change from higher entropy, a change from more disorder to lower entropy, which is less disorder or more order. You should also be seeing a change from low effectiveness, which is a high amount of energy per task, to high effectiveness, which is a low amount of energy per task. So you can actually see this entire story, the entire sort of story of truth play out just with this lot combination. Consider that what if you didn't know any of the digits of the lock? Because there are 4 possible digits that could range from 0 to 9, you actually have 10,000 possible lock combinations, right? You have to guess an average of 5,000 times in order to open the lock without knowing the combination. That takes about 415 watt hours. Let's say you're given one true digit to the lock combination. If you're given one true digit, your uncertainty drops from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 1,000. There could only be 1,000 possible combinations left. The energy you need to guess the lock combination drops as well by a factor of 10 to 41.5 watt hours. So you've saved 373 watt hours because you know one of the digits of the lock combination. So as you get more digits, as you go from knowing less digits of the combination to knowing more digits of the combination, your uncertainty about what the combination is drops from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 100 to 1 in 10 to 1. Your uncertainty goes from very high uncertainty to very low uncertainty, complete certainty. The energy you need to complete the task of opening the lock also drops from 415 watt hours to the very minimum, which is only 0.083 watt hours. So as you get more truth, things become easier and more certain. Truth in this way, this can explain how truth drives technological progress. So truth can be discovered and then applied. And applied truth can be used to create better technologies. Better technologies are equivalent to increased effectiveness and complexity. So as you go from less truth to more truth, you start with, maybe simple technologies like wheels, like bow and arrows, like spears, and then you get more complex. You go from spears to guns, you go from carriages to airplanes, you go from, shovels to power tools, and cars and computers. These are technologies that make us very effective. We've gone from low effectiveness, which is literally a large amount of energy per task, to a high effectiveness, which is a low amount of energy per task. It takes a lot less energy for you to drive in a car than it does for you to walk or run. We've also gone from more uncertainty, which is high entropy, less complexity. Like a spear is complex. it's not very complex. It has maybe 3 major components. Now we have cars, which are much more complex, and computers, which each have thousands and thousands of different precision components. We've gone from much less complexity to much more complexity because our world has become less uncertain. So you can see with technological progress, the entire story of truth is playing out. Truth is tied to physics. So can it be mathematically described? Consider this. Truth is energy saved from information. So the relevant question is, if you're asking a question about truth that's in your best interest, you want to know how much energy does this information save me? Truth can be considered how much energy do I get per this new information. That's what's important about truth. That's kind of like saying, what is the change in energy per change in entropy, uncertainty, or information? What's the change in energy per change in entropy? So truth can be described as the change in energy per change in entropy. This gives us the truth equation. So the change in truth is equal to the change in energy per the change in entropy. Truth is actually, and this is an even more general way of describing the concept, energetically favorable complexity. Now this is very, very general. This goes even beyond the idea of information. Energetically favorable complexity of any kind. This is actually deeply tied to the universe, as energy and entropy are fundamental properties of reality itself. It's also deeply tied to creation, this idea of the emergence of complexity from the universe. Going from less complexity to more complexity. So how do you use the truth equation? We're going to use the lock again to describe a simple way to use it. Truth is change in energy per change in entropy. Difference in this can easily be described as the difference in energy per difference in probability. This is a way to normalize it. You just divide the energy by the beginning energy and divide the probabilities by the beginning probability. So to use the truth equation with, for example, a lot combination digit of 1, which is a true lot combination digit, you have the change in energy being 415 watt hours, which is what you get when you know 0 lot combination digits, subtracted by 41.5 watt hours, which is what you get when you know 1 true lot combination digit. And then that's multiplied by the difference in probability, which is actually proportionally exactly the same. Therefore, you get 9 times 1 over 9, which is equal to 1. So what is this really saying? This is saying that this information saves energy in the same proportion that it reduces uncertainty. In order for this number to be 1, it has to save energy as it reduces uncertainty. So the false lot combination digit, for example, 9, which is not part of the combination, it is different because it will not actually save any energy. So because there's no energy saved after sort of knowing this information, the change in truth is 0, right? It isn't true. And this is just a basic sanity check to see whether this kind of way of looking at information and energy gives you reasonable results for what we would consider a true lot combination digit and a false lot combination digit. What the false lot combination digit is saying is this information saves no energy. Considering truth as science, it's the general science of optimizing information, and energy use. It's very general. Because everything in the universe involves energy, truth is related to everything in the entire universe. It's the general problem. Truth as energy includes actually both spirituality and science. How does it do this? This is where we sort of make this connection between, okay, the physical laws of nature, energy, truth, and now how we use truth in our society agrees with both the spiritual notions of truth that already exist and the scientific notions of truth that already exist. Both of these systems are explicitly energy saving, right? So this technically makes them truth if you considered truth as energy saving information. Spiritual truth comes from the inside. Scientific truth is external. Spiritual truth is a behavioral truth. It's saving energy by changing behavior. It's primary truth. It's fundamental. It's behaving more effectively. It's having self-control and understanding. It's being able to usefully integrate your consciousness with the universe, right? It's being able to control what you do and how you do it. So you do it in a way that saves you more energy. Scientific truth is more environmental. It's more of a secondary kind of truth. It deals with saving energy by manipulating the world around you, manipulating matter, making effective tools, explicitly understanding the universe. It's much more external, but both are explicitly energy-saving information. So consider the task of hammering nails. What would be a short example of a spiritual truth and scientific truth relating to hammering nails? Spiritual truth might start with having a healthy body. If you have a healthy body, you can carry out a task like this more effectively. Having a large amount of skill at hitting nails, if you're very skillful at it, you waste less of your hammer strokes because you always successfully hit the nails. If you only actually undertake the task of hammering when it's necessary, you've also saved energy generally because you're not hammering unnecessarily. Another spiritual truth might be considered recycling, reusing nails in order to save energy, right? You're saving energy generally by reusing these resources. Now, the scientific truth might be making better hammers, right? Or cheaper hammers, making more and cheaper nails, making stronger nails that are made of better materials, maybe developing better methods of hammering. So both the spiritual truth and the scientific truth agree with this energy-saving concept. The spiritual truth is a primary truth. The scientific truth is a secondary truth. They're both required in tandem to save the most amount of energy, to complete the task most effectively. So truth and value are very closely linked. You can create an objective system of value or true value based on energy use. True value allows you to use energy more effectively. This actually agrees with existing concepts of higher value because energy use is probably how and why humans naturally evolved to consider value. So true value is what we already know is truly valuable. Health, wisdom, education, morality, and work ethic might be considered spiritual true value that deals with making people more effective at handling the world. Now, our scientific true values might be science, technology, information, resources, and tools. Things, kind of technology falls under tools already, but these are more externally valuable things, right? Dealing with using the environment more effectively. So this is actually a better paradigm of value that's more complete. The concept of profit and money as value is actually already being superseded by this paradigm of energy and information as valuable, right? This is what is already happening all around us with the information age, and especially with new and better forms of energy. We are moving closer to truth whether we know it or not. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just as far as I've gotten so far with my limited time developing these concepts, but I'm sure there's much, much more left to find out. So we shall see what the future holds.